So you were browsing on YouTube one day and you came across a content creator making a really cool drawing of, I don't know, maybe a superhero or something. And you figured you wanted to do just that you wanted to draw something similar to that. And you went to the drawer, picked up a sheet of paper and a pencil, an eraser, and a pen or whatever you had available. And you started drawing. And then soon you realize that your art skills are not there yet. Well, in this video, I'm going to help you by giving you some advice and tips on how to become a better artist. But before I go into the video, I'm going to ask you guys a really big favor is to please share and like and subscribe. This is a really small channel, so it really helps me a lot with the algorithm if you actually guys subscribe and like to my videos. But anyways, here we go. So before I go into some of the tips, I would like to give you guys an advice first, and that I think applies for almost everything, whether you want to learn how to draw or to learn how to paint or play a new instrument. And it's that you should really understand that learning a skill takes time. So it's not something you're going to learn overnight. Some people are very talented and can learn very quickly. Some people learn a little slower. But what I'm trying to say is that if you find that drawing or doing some of this stuff feels more like a chore or like hard work and you're not really enjoying it, maybe it's not for you. Maybe drawing is not for you. Maybe you want to do something else. Regardless if you want to do it as a hobby or as a job or something, if you don't find it enjoyable, then you shouldn't take on that. You should find something else to do instead of drawing. Now, the first tip I want to give you guys on how to learn how to draw is to start small. Sometimes less is more. And what I mean by that is that because you probably don't have a lot of experience and you want to really grasp into certain concepts, it's better to start with small drawings and small things rather than go on to very complicated drawings. You might see some people on YouTube drawing this really elaborate, really cool, and you think you just want to jump right into it. I suggest don't do that. Just start with something very simple. Start with, for instance, start by drawing shapes. Shapes are really important to learn. I know this is something you probably learned when you were a little kid, like drawing triangles, squares, circles, rectangles. But it's very important to understand the shapes, because shapes are almost in everything. Whether you're drawing a car, you're drawing a person, there are shapes in everything, hidden in every single thing. For instance, you see a lot of comic book artists, when they start their drawings, they start drawing shapes. For instance, a circle for the head, or a rectangle for the torso, or cylinders for the arms. So it's because they're constructing, they understand shapes, and they build their figures or their drawings using shapes. Also, what I recommend when you're learning how to draw shapes, is not just drawing in a two-dimensional form, but also try to learn how to draw them in a three-dimensional form. And then after you pick on that, you start manipulating the shapes. There's a lot of great videos and tutorials out there. In Proco, there's a really good tutorial on how to draw shapes and how to draw them in 3D as well as in manipulate shapes. Another thing to do with drawing shapes is that you can also learn how to shade. That's very important. You will say, for instance, you're drawing a rectangle and you have you're drawing it in a 3D form where you can see the sides. You can shade the sides or shade the bottom, and you see where the light comes. Learn about lighting. It's very important whether you're learning about a light source that comes from one part or multiple light sources. That's really important to learn about shapes and how to shade and understand where the light comes. Another tip I want to give you guys is to be patient. I know sometimes you want to learn something right away, and again, this applies for almost everything. I recommend you be patient and take your time learning this. I mean, sometimes learning a new skill takes time. I mean, depending on who you are and how quick you learn, or even the time you have to put into learning something. I mean, it will take you a little bit of time, depending on how much time you have to put into. That's another thing I want to give another tip is that if you want to learn something, again, drawing, you should at least draw every day. I know this is hard. Sometimes people have a lot of responsibilities, some have families, some have school to take care of. But if you can at least draw, I don't know, maybe an hour a day, and if you can't draw in hours, that's fine. You can draw in maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes of your time during the day. Just separate a few minutes during the day to practice drawing. It's really important. I really believe that, taking that time and practicing, and not just practicing doodling or doing whatever, but also take some time, separate time during the day or maybe on the weekend to maybe learn, again, like I said, how to draw shapes and practice with that. Yeah, draw little things, like animals and stuff like that. Another tip I want to give you guys is use reference. I know I said this in one of my other videos. I really believe that you should use reference no matter what you're drawing. Yes, a lot of people say you shouldn't use reference and draw from imagination. I don't really believe that. I think that using reference helps you a lot, and it helps you grow your own library of skills. And for instance, you can do also what some artists call reference bashing, which is combining different references to make one drawing or one art. So there's no shame on that. You should also use a lot of reference, whether you're using reference from, say, art from other artists or maybe ideas of real life and combining them. Go ahead, use them. But again, try to draw every day at least for a few minutes. If you can't, well, make sure not to go, a lot of days without drawing. Don't go like 2 or 3 weeks without drawing anything. I mean, you're really not going to go anywhere if you don't keep consistency when trying to learn how to draw. My other advice that I want to give, and this is not really advice, but it's kind of a suggestion. Sometimes people don't know what type of medium to use, whether they want to do digital or they want to do traditional. I really recommend that you learn both ways, whether you have the ability to draw digital, that's awesome. There's definitely a learning curve there when it comes to digital because you have to learn how you use certain tools depending on the software you're using, as opposed to learning traditionally that you just basically pick up a pencil and start drawing on paper. When you're drawing digital, you gotta learn certain things. Maybe you gotta buy and spend some more money. Now, the benefit of drawing digitally is that you can manipulate your drawings a lot better. You have more of a window of error, so you can go back and fix it. Sometimes when you're drawing traditionally, if you mess up, maybe you have to go back again and redo the whole thing, especially if you're using pens and inks. But I suggest you learn both ways. I prefer to draw traditionally, and I don't know, it's just something that I really like about the feeling of the pen against the paper. But after I draw and I ink my drawing, I like to convert it digitally so then I can actually color it on Photoshop or some other software. But the reason I do that is because some of the colors, for instance, I like to use Copics, but they tend to be a little bit expensive, so coloring certain artworks digitally helps a bunch. You don't have to spend the money, and you can actually develop both tools, to both ways, whether you want to draw traditionally and digitally. It helps a lot. So there's a lot of tools out there you can use for drawing. The other tip I want to give is to don't be afraid to go on the internet and look for tutorials. There are a vast library of tutorials. I mean, we definitely live in a great time right now that we have the internet. Back then, we didn't have the resources to learn. The only way to learn things was actually going to school. And that's not bad. You want to go to a school or get a degree in art, that's fine too. But nowadays, you don't have to do that necessarily. You can actually watch a lot of video tutorials, even for free here on YouTube. Or if you want to spend some money, and you can get some tutorials online as well. On Skillshare, they have some great tutorials from great artists, and you can learn a lot of good stuff from them. And also be open-minded. Try to learn as much as you can from different artists. Every artist give different inputs and different techniques that you can implement to your artwork and see how that works for you. So yeah, try to learn as much as you can. Learn the right way. Don't just learn stuff that maybe, say for instance, one artist might tell you to use a technique, maybe then another artist tells you to use a different technique. Maybe you can implement both techniques and see what works out for you. And my last tip is to never give up. If you really like what you're doing, enjoy drawing, enjoy this amazing world of art, I suggest don't give up. Sometimes you're going to be frustrated with something. Maybe the artwork doesn't work out very well and you're getting a little frustrated. My suggestion is just stop what you're doing and then come back later to it. Don't get discouraged if the artwork doesn't come out the way you want. You have to remember, it's all a learning process. It's all trial and error. And in the end of the day, it's all about you enjoying what you do. And it will eventually get better. You will learn a lot of things. Like I said, you just have to be very open-minded, put in the time, put in the effort, and no matter what, enjoy what you're doing. So anyways, guys, this is it for now. I'm really thankful that you guys made it all the way to the end of this video. Again, like I said at the beginning, please share, like, and subscribe. That helps me a lot. This is a very small channel. Anyways, if you guys have anything to say, please feel free to say it in the comment section. Be respectful to everybody else, and have a wonderful day, and keep drawing, guys. Take care. Bye bye.